You've had some experience using plural nouns to talk about groups of people. Now we're going to see how to talk about multiple objects or animals. We call these non-human plurals. So, you've had some experience using plural nouns to talk about groups of people. Now we're going to see how to talk about multiple objects or animals. We call these non-human plurals. Remember that there are three different types of plurals used to talk about humans. The masculine suffixes un and in, the feminine suffix at, and the broken plural that adds or moves long and short vowels. This knowledge will come in handy when dealing with non-human plurals. There are essentially two different types of non-human plural patterns: the feminine at ending that you use with female people, and the broken plural patterns that you also saw a little bit with human plurals. The feminine at suffix is pretty straightforward. You use it with words like jamiat, universities, or mektebat, libraries. These words see no changes to the internal vowel structure used in the singular form of the noun. Jamia, jamiat, lugha, lugat, mekteba, mektebat. See, they pretty much sound the same. In order for an object to take the at ending, the singular form of the noun must be feminine, those that end in a tamabuta. However, every word that ends in a tamabuta does not use the sound feminine suffix. Some will still use a broken plural, but masculine nouns will not get the feminine at suffix. Broken plurals are used for all masculine and some feminine objects or animals. They involve changing the vowels from the singular form. Notice the difference between Medina, city, and mudun, cities. The same thing happens with kitab and kutub. There are a few different patterns that broken plurals tend to follow. You may have noticed that some words get an aleph inserted at the beginning and or the middle, like with ism and isma'a. Others lose a tamabuta and get a new feta in the middle, such as with ghurfa, as it becomes huraf. And some get a dhamma on the first letter. Linguists sometimes call the first letter the radical. So if you're ever reading any grammar information about Arabic and you see the word radical, you'll need to think letter. Anyway, some broken plurals get a dhamma on the first radical and a wow inserted in the middle, like deres, as it becomes durus. Take a second to think about other words you know that fit into these patterns. At this point, you may be wondering why there are so many different ways to make plurals. This is partly because of the root system. Both library, mekteba, and office, mektab, are based on the same root, ka, ta, ba, and they also have the meme inserted to indicate a noun of place. So, there needs to be a difference between the plurals to distinguish between libraries, mektebat, and offices, makatib. Now that you're getting the hang of making plurals, let's see how to use them with adjectives, pronouns, and numbers. One thing to remember when dealing with non-human plurals is that no matter what plural form the word takes, feminine suffix or broken plural, groups of objects or animals are considered feminine singular when you're using pronouns or adjectives with them. Since adjectives and pronouns must agree with nouns in number and gender, you will use the feminine singular form with groups of inanimate objects. So you have hadahi al-yam, these days. While day, yum, singular, is masculine, days, plural is considered a single feminine entity, so you use هذا he. Same idea for هي كتب, these books. The same rule apply with adjectives. Think about بيوت كبيرة, big houses. Even though beit may be masculine, when you combine a whole bunch of them together, you talk of them as a single feminine collective. Same thing goes if you want to talk about long streets. So, to say big books, you will use the feminine kabira, because a group of books, though a masculine object, are treated as a single feminine entity. Katub kabira. Now, how would you say 3 big books? Go ahead and think about it. ثلاثة كتب كبيرة. Here, the objects numbered 3 through 10 use the plural form of the noun, kutub. The number disagrees in gender with the singular form of the noun. Kitab is masculine, so you use thalatha. And the adjective used is for the feminine singular, just like with every other collective noun, kabira. So, 3 big books, thalatha, kutub, kabira. Let's try another one. Think about the rules for numbers and for agreement and for making plurals. How would you say 13 big dogs? ثلاثة عشر كلب كبيرة. Even though you're back to using the singular form of the noun, which is masculine, your adjective needs to agree with the whole group, which is considered a feminine entity. كلب كبيرة. Let's try again. How would you say 13 big dogs? ثلاثة عشر كلب كبيرة. Even though you're back to using the singular form of the noun, which is masculine, your adjective needs to agree with the whole group, which is considered a feminine entity. كلب كبيرة. Take a few minutes to think about the plurals you know. Do you notice any patterns? Refer to the chart included in this module, which will give you the feminine plurals and broken plurals for lots of words that you know. Do you think you can guess the plural forms for words you don't know? Don't forget that as you learn new words, you need to pay attention to the plural too, and soon you'll be impressed at your ability to intuitively guess the proper form.